great. But this is a quick live. Alright. For one, just talking to a friend and family members. This is the thing. Would you stay in a relationship for your kids? And I'm talking about horrible conditions. Sexless marriage, spousal abuse, and the best of the best and the worst of the worst. All the way down. You could have it to where on one end, this person has a good heart, everything, but they not a people person. They don't like kids. It could be the woman that don't like kids, but she had one for you. Or it could be the one that the man don't like kids, but he gave you one because of you. So would you stay in that relationship? Because it boils back down to the money. Recently I've been talking to people, and we had this conversation about people having kids out of wedlock, people having kids while married, and the difficulty with these situations are, they never really had the time to talk. Now, if you looked at, and Mills, what's going on? If you looked at my previous video where I talked about money and relationship, that I said a lot of people really don't talk to each other. That's the biggest thing. Like, they say there are two reasons for marriage always end in divorce. Is it because of money, and it's because of infidelity, cheating. Now, this is the thing. Unexpected goals, my thing is this. If you marry, I've always told my wife this, because I can't speak for a woman, but I told my wife that, men cheat for a reason. Son trying to hide this son. But men cheat for a reason. Unless you just married a dog, men cheat for a reason. Young, what's going on? So, needless to say, if he's not getting what he wants at home, he's going to try to go get it elsewhere, not saying that he's looking for it. It just automatically falls in a person's lap. So let's say if my wife's not cooking at home, and a woman at the job, like, oh, I got an extra piece of chicken I made last night, you can have this. Oh, thanks. My wife, she's not really looking appealing. She don't want to dress up, don't want to get her hair done and stuff. Next thing I know, this woman at my job, she's always dressing real nice. You're gonna look. Because I've always told my wife, I'm a man, I'm gonna look at a woman. It's not saying that, I'm gonna be doing something foul or something like that. But the thing of it is, in this day and age, if a man is not looking at a woman, you might want to be worried about that. But there's no disrespect amongst that too. Like I told my wife, I'm not disrespectful. I'll look at a woman and just turn my head. It's not like, oh my goodness, she's fine. None of that. I'm a grown man. I'm not in high school, not in elementary, whatever. Don't have the time to play those silly games like that. But at the expectation, when people look at my wife, I don't say anything because I'm a man. I know that men look at women. Just yesterday I was in the store with her, and I was looking at her before I walked up. I smiled, just nodded my head and kept going. What I was supposed to do? Hey man, I'm looking at my wife like that. The thing is, like, get back to it, staying in a relationship for the child or kids. There's a couple of people I've talked to. Man, this one guy, he stayed in a relationship with a woman. He had a lot of kids with her, but ultimately he tried and it didn't work out. Same thing, and those were pretty much his kids. Same thing with the woman. She tried to stay with her baby daddy, and it didn't work out. Like, she wanted to have the kids all have the same dad. That Huxtable family. Everybody wants that type of lifestyle, but the problem is nobody's willing to sit down and talk about things before you have kids. That's our biggest issue in every culture, every community. Why not talk about this stuff? Because like I said, going back into it, infidelity and money is the main reason why people get a divorce. And it's not really just that. To me, what's going on? The reason why a lot of people get divorced is mainly due to the expectations of, when I got married, I thought you was gonna pay all the bills and we was gonna live this way. Did we talk about this before we got married? Lisa J, what's going on? Well, I seen one of your videos, pretty cool. I gotta go back. I was telling my wife he gotta look at it too. And I've been sending your videos to my cousin because he's just not getting into stock relatively. And I told him to, look at stock options, but mainly looking into stocks, different things he need to look out for. And he's new to it, so he's, just trying things out. But he made some decent money. He's been doing it for about almost a year now. But I told him just constantly keep researching and everything, he'll work it out. But, when it comes down to it, like I'll get back into it, a lot of times the expectation is not understood in a relationship. If the man is supposed to pay all the bills, that should be discussed at the beginning. Like I said, the whole 50-50 argument, it's like community property. That's the house money. A lot of people are not understanding that. Like I told you, me and my wife, you could say we do 50-50 because I pay some of the bills, she pays some of the bills. If she don't have her portion on the bill, I don't tell her it's not my responsibility. I give her the money to pay it, and vice versa, she do the same thing for me. And a lot of people don't have an understanding in that relationship. Like I said, a corporation, and sorry if I see any drooling or anything, or got a tooth messed up, so my speech might be a little off sometime, but I'm finna get a root canal. But that's why I've been going live too much, having real bad issues. But the thing of it is, when it comes down to it, a lot of people in relationship, their expectations are too high. And then you have a situation to where you're looking at other people in their relationships and you think that should be you. So when it comes down to it, let's say I end up, with a relationship and I see somebody else wife is, every birthday she give him $10,000. Well, why my wife can't give me $10,000? Why is that? I don't understand that. I don't understand why she can't give me $10,000. So now I'm expecting my wife to do what another woman is doing. I don't know this situation. Prime example, and it's another thing that the issue that came up. I was looking at, and I'm gonna drop this video probably later on today. I was trying to do commentary on it, but shout out to That Boy Will. So That Boy Will dropped a video in regards to this woman. Her dad ended up passing, and he had a trust set up for her. So the trust was a setup, I think it was like $2 million and a house. So she was getting $15,000 a month, I guess, until the 2 million ran out. I think it was like 2 million and a house, and she was getting 15,000, not 1,500, 15,000 a month, I guess, until the trust ran out. So both of them were working at the time before, the situation of the dad passing. Now, this is where the plot twists, and I told my wife, I said, if this happened, I'm gone. So she gets the money. He writes to this podcast and tell him he don't like his job. He preferred doing something else, but it pays the bills for the family. So same with his wife. She don't like her job, but it pays the bills for the family. Now, She goes, gets the money. She tells him that her dad left the money for her lineage. So it's her and her kids. He has nothing to do with the money. He can't touch the money, contribute. Like, he's not gaining anything off the money. So she goes, quits her job, comes to him, tell him he's not cooking no more. She's Uber Eats or whatever she's doing every night, cater food or whatever, but she's not cooking anymore. She stopped cooking. She quit her job, went and rented, so most likely it says lease when he say rented, a Mercedes-Benz, and she just chilling, doing whatever she wants. When it comes to him, she said that he keep his job and that'll be enough to pay, I guess, the mortgage, and she take care of everything else. Never said that she was going to take care of any other bills other than that, but I'm assuming that was her part in the bills, taking care of the utilities. That's what I'm assuming. But, even the podcaster, they was talking like, yeah, that's just crazy. And she just did all that, and he can't benefit off the money by no means, because she feel as if her dad left the money for her lineage. That means her and the kids. So he really can't benefit off the money. I'm gone. There's no way you're going to get all this money, and then on top of that, she rents the house out because it's in another state. They're in Iowa, I believe, and I think they said that the lady's father's house was in Montana or North Dakota, I think North Dakota, and so it was near a college. She rented out the college kids, getting about $6,000 a month for the house. So I'm like, you making $6,000 for the house, $15,000 a month from your dad's trust, and why not get him because he was doing some in real estate development. So why not get him to start investing in the houses, get to a point where he can quit his job, y'all guys start a business, and be successful. At $15,000 a month, you can buy a house every quarter. Every 3 months, you can buy a house. Every 3 months. Let's even go every 4 months. Every 4 months. So there's 3 times out the year you can buy another house. Put it under contract. If it's already fixed up, you're just put it in the LLC. You have the capital to come in and start a business like that and make money for the family. Like, the selfishness of that situation is so crazy. And, that's why I was telling my wife, that's the whole thing that I want to do. I don't want to just leave the money to my son or my daughter and have their significant other feeling that way. Because personally, I wouldn't stay in that relationship. I love the kids, but I got to go. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Would you stay in a relationship with someone that was bad off, financial abuse, just like in that situation? Of course, with spousal abuse, somebody putting hands on you. I don't see no reason for you to stay in that relationship, because it's harmful to you and the child. Because I've heard and seen situations to where men would fight women, and then in return, that child grows up with the expectation that it's okay for a man to do this to you because this shows you that they love you. I've honestly been around people who start fights to get men to beat them and then try to have makeup sex because that's what they was relatively used to. And I told them it wasn't right. Like, maintaining that type of lifestyle is only going to lead to one thing: someone taking it too far and going to jail, or possibly even worse, somebody dying. Even a situation on the men, I've seen where the shoe was on the other foot. The woman was abusing the man, beating on him. One situation online, but I know personally too, where this guy was from another country. And the woman was constantly egging him, telling him if he do this and that, she'll send him back to that country. She'll call the police, tell him he's over here illegally, and get him deported. You know, she's taking his money, she's doing whatever she's want. And what could he do? He couldn't go to the authorities. It wasn't like he could just, if he moved, if he get out, then she just called the authorities on him. There's a situation where it was not even just a foreigner. It's just a guy. I'm trying to use my words carefully with this. There was a guy who was kind of like not raised properly. I could say that the least. And this woman was just totally taking advantage of him. And just for small intents, people just label it as a sucker. She was just telling him when he come home, he got to give her the check. He got to give her his whole check. He got to do all this. You know, got him cleaning the house and all. She's not working. He's taking care of her. And, you know, because they had a kid together, he's seen how his dad left his mom. So he wanted to be there for his child. He put up through so much abuse. So like I said, it goes on both ends. And the question, like I say, going back into it, would you stay in a relationship like that? Personally, me, I wouldn't. I've even told my wife, I was like, at the end of the day, my peace is more important for me. Like, I love my kids with all my heart, but I can't be abused and be there with my kids and let them see that happening. And I go through situations like that. I mean, honestly, it's not even just being a man, it's just being a human. Like for women as well, just being a human have to take that abuse in order to, you know, try to facilitate a family. You know, like I said, unrealistic expectations to where people are going in these relationships and they're just like doing it for what? I mean, I understand doing it for the kids, but you're sacrificing so much of your time and energy, which you're not going to be able to get back, you know. And the abuse that you take, it does stuff to you mentally. Mentally, most people who go through this need to take some time to themselves before they jump into a relationship. Now, the ones that don't care, they're jumping right to the next person like that. Like, oh man, this person. Oh, see this new guy. Oh, he looks good. He got some money. Going into that relationship. Same thing with the men. A real, how can I put this? Just in general, a person with a conscience to a degree. They're going to sit here and look at the situation at hand, and they're going to know, like, this is not the situation I want to be in. I don't want to have this long term. You know, I've known situations to where as soon as that child turns 18, or as soon as that child mainly graduates from high school, that man is gone. Sometimes women too. But most of the time the men, oh, they out of there. Nope, I only want to see my daughter, my son graduate, I'm out. I put up with all this abuse so long, can't take it no more. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I mean, it's one thing to sit there and literally go through a situation and struggle. Then it's another to leave yourself. It's like that movie Saw, where you have to do things or you met your fate. And there were situations to where there were so many situations to, I'm like, man, why they don't this and why they don't that? It's, when it comes down to it, you try to do the right thing. You try to, you know, be in a better situation, a better for the kids, a better for yourself. And there's a lot of issues at stake, man. There's a lot of people that go through situations. There's a lot of people that harm themselves in order to, you know, make somebody else happy. And I've always said, you know, that happy wife, happy life. If I can't make myself happy, how am I gonna make you happy? That's to me, me providing you with so much happiness and love and putting myself in a horrible, terrible situation that I can't benefit from, I just can't see it. I mean, I'm honestly, I just can't see it. So it comes a time to where you have to start having balance in your life. You know, when it comes to your family, when it comes to your friends, even in relationships. A lot of times, and I say this a lot, and it's not a shot to my immediate family, but like I talk about situations my mother and father passed when I was young, but then I go into detail how I was raised by my grandmother. And shout out to Absalon. I was listening to one of his streams last night, well, this morning, that he made early this morning or last night, when he was saying that his grandmother, she had I think a fourth grade education. My grandmother, she had an eighth grade education. And it was because they stayed in the country, for one. Two, there was no high schools there in the country. You had to go to the city of Atlanta to go to high school. My family's from a small town, Greenville, Georgia, and it's outside LaGrange. Well, before LaGrange, but needless to say, she was only limited to her education. Now, her older brother, same thing. Now, regards to her two younger brother and sister, which would be my favorite aunt, my favorite uncle, they both went to high school. One went to the military, which would be my uncle. My aunt, she did technical training. She went to college, got an associate's degree in business management, and she did something in computer. I forgot what she was saying that she did in computer, because she worked for Bell South and she owned her own business. So she had, boss lady, what's going on? I see you working over there. I caught your video this morning. But she had a level of understanding about finance, and she taught it to her three kids. They had in-house, like a broker or a financial advisor that lived in the house with them. I didn't have that. My grandmother, her thing was, she taught us to, she said she wanted us to go to college, but the thing of it was, pick a career and go to college. She was looking, just like all the other people back in the day, they wanted kids to go to school to become a doctor, lawyer, and what was the other major thing back in the day? Mainly doctor and lawyer. Because it was something, because it was three of us. She wanted all three of us to have different careers. And that wasn't my path. I liked the art. So I wanted to go to school to be go into art, into fashion. And that was one of the things I was into. Only reason I got into truck driving because the money was so easy, quick, and made a lot of it at one time. If somebody would have told me back in the day about technical school, I probably would have went the technical route right out of high school versus going into moving furniture and start driving and making money that way. Like I said, I slowed down because of my kids, and I made a ton of money back in the day. Like, as of right now, I'm doing pretty good for myself now. I know I mean, I could be making way more, but the time that I will lose with my kids, I'm not gonna be able to get that back. My older kids, I took a hit with them, but they got a lot of stuff. We took I've taken just about as many trips with my younger kids as my older kids. Because every summer they would do something. My wife, she would be so mad at me because I like spoiling kids. That's why I told her. I said, we have grandkids. I'm like, I think I'm just gonna have to leave you at home, because my wife, she's a homebody. She goes and do things, but she like her bed. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, I told her, I was like, man, if my mom was around, my mom liked to travel. So before I even got older, I think I hit a total of, I think before I was 5 years old, I see Cali, Arizona, Texas, Mississippi, Florida, a lot of times in Florida, Arkansas, Georgia, of course, because that's who family from. South Carolina. Where else major did we go? Oh, we went to Vegas, Nevada. Um, I hit 9 states before I was 5 years old. I've lived in 9 states. Nope, probably more than that because we moved from east to go to New Mexico was 10, and Philly, that's Pennsylvania, that's 11. That's where my dad's from. So at least over 12 states. Then when I became an adult, got into truck driving, I hit all 48. I've actually went to all 48 states. Tried to go to a lot of monuments and a lot of big places there when I was moving furniture, because that was my thing. When I go to these states, I would always try to find something to do. I went to a couple of college campuses out there. Had I think I went to one little frat party that was pretty cool in Indiana, and another one in Kentucky. Did the little college tour thing down there in Raleigh, Durham, the Triangle of Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Did that tour down there just because I was working, so there were things I did. Getting way off the topic right now, but just I'm gonna roll back into it. But the thing of it was, I traveled a lot, did a lot of stuff. More than most. That's why when most people always talk about different states, I've been there. Like I told Miss T when I was on her channel, I was like, man, Maine is so nice in the fall. I went up to Maine so many times. The leaves falling and the mountain, like the mist and the morning dew, where everything is so cloudy. Maine and Vermont, hands down, real nice. Montana, believe it or not, they have a 50,000 silver dollar bar up there. And, you know, the height, I thought it was going to be a little racist, but it was actually pretty good. It wasn't. I mean, because it's a tourist attraction. So you got to be welcoming to anybody that comes there, you know. But at the same time, I was shocked and surprised that it was a nice bar. They had real nice food, to be honest. It was more like a Southern cook vibe than more of a up north, northern beans type thing. Because I done been to some northern restaurants and the food was horrible. Like coming from the south with a lot of the season, and these restaurants did not use hardly any season. And I'm like, is this the Midwest thing? Like, man, St. Louis and um, what is Kansas City. Those two had the best decent food up there in the Midwest, next to Montana. Even Washington was a little up and down. They seasoning went all the way. It wasn't hitting that much when I went to Washington, and I stayed up in Washington for almost a month before I go into California. And I've been on the San Francisco Bridge before as a kid. Like I said, my mom traveled, but to go back there to San Francisco, man, I sat on that bridge for literally 5 hours. I watched two movies. When I was in the 18 wheeler. So I'm in the back. I was a helper. So the guy who was driving, he just pull up, hit the brakes, sit, pull up, hit the brakes, sit. Same thing we did in New York. It took us 3 hours just on one corner to get across to George Washington. So I'm like, man, that's why when people always say our traffic is bad, Cali traffic is the worst. Then New York, then Houston. That Sam Houston, man, that's why I say we got some bad traffic, but ours is a slow paced move. Theirs is a stop and go. So, like I said, I've been to several places. Iowa, man, believe it or not, California, I think it was literally 100 miles of nothing but farmland with cows. All you smell is cow manure for at least 100 miles. And in a truck, you looking at about at least an hour, 10 or so in driving, smelling nothing but horse crap. I mean, not horse, but cow manure the whole time. Bad smell. Just like, man, the whole time you riding, you like, nope, nope. But, I mean, hey, but I'm about to get ready to get off here, but get back into it. Would you stay in a relationship like that? You stay for the kids? Would you stay if your spouse had money, didn't have money? How would you deal with that relationship? My guy finna go live. I always tongue twist his name. Strategic entrepreneur. But yeah, he's about to go live. Somebody get ready to jump up here because I gotta hit it anyway. Just pulled up to work. All right. Once again, you know what I always say? We here, we gone. Peace.